So it's it's wrong to think that they weren't appreciated. I once several times got a chance to play with a 16th century Zweihänder or whatever you want to call the big swords. And what struck me is it had its original handle and wrappings and everything like that, so it was in very good condition. But what struck me was how relatively light it was for the amount of metal in it. I
Yes.
mean, they were very maneuverable. I could hold it out in one hand
Yes.
like that, and I'm not very
Excellent.
strong. And I was going, my goodness, how did they make such? How did they get
Perfect.
the proportions so well? And it's obviously trial and error and really
Masterful.
intelligent smiths.
Really
Yeah,
masterful.
they look so massive, but I think the one I was handling was about 4.5 kilograms, maybe a little bit more than that. I can't remember. We didn't weigh it. I'm just going on what it felt like when I was holding it. Uh, but a strong man wielding one of those would have been quite a terrifying sight.
Terrifying. Of course. Another male shirt. You see how beautiful that one is?
Yeah, yeah. I really appreciate people who make
Yes.
it always looks so good. And as we were saying, it's much more effective than people thought. I think the problem is uh, um, fashion and history go through stages,
Yes.
and there was a stage in the 19th century where everything from the Middle Ages was primitive, but it really wasn't that primitive.
Yes.
Now that's interesting. That crossbow
Mhm.
has a very low brace height, which
Yes.
I think it's Andreas Bichscher from Germany makes really good crossbow
Yeah. Yeah.
replicas, and a lot of the early ones have very low brace height,
Yes.
and that's why they could get performance out of them. Whereas the later ones had higher brace heights, and they had to make them super heavy to work at all. Whereas the earlier ones, a 300-pound crossbow was quite effective.
Germany has still good crossbow makers. Some of them really they make good ones. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Traditional.
If I was comparing Germany and other places for making crossbows in modern times, I've seen more people in Germany making crossbows of a high standard and historical
Yes.
accuracy.
Yes.
Whereas um, in English speaking countries, people start at something like Payne Galway's The Crossbow, which
Mhm.
is really interesting, but it was written in the late 19th century. And it depended on the access to the weapons that he had. Now, he's a wealthy man. He could visit museums all over the world, but nowadays you can go to a museum website and find the dimensions of a crossbow in the museum and work out how it how efficient it was and things like that.
Yes.
The other thing is, of course, um, it's the mounting of the bow is not necessarily well understood,
Yes.
and a lot of
Yes.
people mount the bow
Yes.
too flat, so
Yes.
there's too much pressure on the string. Oh, that looks interesting.
Yes.
So that's the one on the left is the great sword from the
Yes.
just below the crossguard
Yes.
along the ricasso where you've got the secondary crossguard and then the
Yes.
blade starting, and then the one next to it shows
Yes.
the whole of that crossguard. Those crossguards are huge. I mean, like this, that double ring,
Yes.
and then the sidebars, the of the quillons are
And you can see the
functionally.
long tang. I mean, the handle is
Yeah,
missing. You see that? There is no handle.
yeah,
The long
yeah. We
tang.
had
Yes.
because we had access to an original one of these. One of my friends wanted to make a handle for a sword, which was basically at the level of a European two-handed sword, but
Hmm.
not one of these things, but
Hmm.
a standard two-handed sword, and using the original handle, which was covered in leather, and
Yes.
they basically it was two pieces of wood with a slot down the middle that were glued together and fitted over the tang, and
Yes.
then um, leather Turk's heads were woven along the handle at various stages to make stops so you handle it. Then the whole thing was covered in wet leather, and which was then sewn and glued on, so that you had these kind of sculptural raised sections in the leather, which you could use for positioning your hands correctly. It
Yes.
was really well designed.
Very well done.
Um,
Yes.
Oh,
Pete,
so
I
we've got a
would
bit
like
of
to
plate
give
armor
yes, plate armor.
and
And look
riveted
at
mail.
the riveted mail. Look at how tight they are.
Oh yeah, that's very well done. That riveted mail. I mean, we can tell it's old because the rivets have corroded into the body of the rings.
Yes, it is corroded. Yes.
uh, but the uh, the riveted rings are a little bit more rectangular in cross section. No, wait a minute. Are they? It seems a bit random. I think it's that some rings that look solid are actually riveted rings turned 180 degrees. So it's all riveted, I think.
All riveted. You are right. I just
Very
looked at it.
tight.
Look at this. Look at this bit. Here is as a rivet as well. Turned in.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right.
yeah. So it's all riveted. I mean, when you put it together, you'd rivet half your rings before you put it together, and then just string them along as though they were
Pete, when you look
solid
at the
rings.
riveted mail like this ones and look this, somehow it gives you the impression, the old ones, as if they were riveted then soldered, right? Because their love became one. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's more to do with 500 years of corrosion
Yes,
rather than
corrosion.
the
Exactly.
but they were pinned down hard. I mean, the rivet would have been in strong physical contact with the rings. It wasn't just sticking up proud.
Yes.
Um, but what I noticed is that the widening of the rings is quite delicate.
Mm.
It's not really broad and flattened like you see in modern reproductions or in some old ones as well. Now that could be, it could originally have been quite wide. And then through wearing over 100 years, it all wore down until it was much more smooth.
Mm.
Because that's the thing about mail, it's self-polishing and self-cleaning if you wear it.
Yes.
Oh, is this a?
I cannot figure
It's
out what it is, to be honest.
yeah. It's either it could be. It's not the back of a knee, so it has to be the inside of an elbow, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of raised rib section which suggests that the original armor was one of those Lance Connect armors that looked like clothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of articulation. I think that's the inside of the elbow, but I
Yeah.
could be wrong because I often am. Oh, bits. I love bits. Early bits. The bottommost bit, if you came across it in a modern equestrian shop, you wouldn't be surprised. The next bit up is very much of the 8th, 9th, 10th century. It's an early style of bit. The javelin or spearheads, and I'm not sure which they are, because they're small enough to be javelin heads,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of spear butts there, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Suggests that there was a bit of serious action going on. Very nice axe heads, even though they're corroded, they've got really good shape, haven't they?
Yeah.
One day, and on the other side, we've got tools. We've got adzes.
Yeah.
We've got chisels.
Yeah.
I think, is that a chisel or is it a narrow axe head? I think it's a
it's
narrow axe head, actually.
yeah.
Which may not be a tool after all. And sharpening stones. Is that what they are?
Sharpening stones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you've got to keep your stuff sharp.
Yes.
No,
Look at these
that's an
ones.
oh. So knife blades in the middle.
Yes.
What could be?
Unfortunately,
Yeah, they all
everything
look.
is written in Ukrainian, and as I cannot read Ukrainian, I cannot tell
Yeah.
anything, right?
I'm guessing knife blades, and the thing with the ring is probably a spike you carried to hammer into the ground to tie your horse to,
Yes.
which I've seen on and using quotes Cossack saddles, but Eastern style saddles. I think in German it's Boxsattel.
Yes.
But there's keys and locks. There's staples and handles possibly from cauldrons. Those long curved things with the hook on the end. If they're symmetrical, they're probably cauldron handles. The locks are interesting. There's several different kinds, judging by the keys. Yeah, really. Oh, the axes on the right side are
Very nice.
impressive.
Really impressive.
I always like a nice looking axe. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So we've got on the right hand photograph, which is what we could see on the left-hand side of the other thing, these are handles.
Yes.
Um, on the left-hand side, not quite so sure what they are. They look like, I don't know, the top row are big buckles.
Yeah. Seems so.
And yeah. I'm not sure about the bottom row, but there does look to be a belt hook on the left-hand side of the middle row
Yeah.
because they were quite often made out of iron.
Yeah.
Nice
And
stuff.
now we
Oh,
go to
Japanese.
in this museum, they have the temporary collection of Mr. Alexander Feldman. When I was in Ukraine, I mean, he was a representative of at the Parliament of Ukraine, and he's also head of the Jewish community in Ukraine. So he
Mhm.
invited me to his mansion, and in his mansion, I mean, it was one of the largest arms and armor collections I've ever seen, right? Not as large as Mr. Al-Qarashi in Kuwait, I have to
Yeah.
say,
Oh, yeah.
but really large because Mr. Feldman is also a wealthy man, and
Mm.
what Mr. Feldman does just okay back then, he does many things. For example, he in Kharkov or Kharkiv as they call it today, he had a zoo, and this zoo was different animals and free of charge people and for example children who had some problems they can only get contact with chimpanzees or with different types of animals, dolphins, chimpanzees, whatever, free of charge they could come, and he provided that service to the community back then
No,
before.
that's lovely.
Very nice. Before the war started,
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, after the war started, his zoo was hit, and it was very sad. Many animals were
Yeah, I
killed.
might have seen that on the news. It
You'll
is
say, yeah.
sad
This was all
because I don't think
financed by him. It was not the state. So Mr. Feldman, gave this opportunity to Ukrainian citizens
people
and
people can be
residents.
very generous to the society that
Yes,
they live in
yes,
if they wish.
yes. And one
That
thing,
touchy, it says 19th century, but it's
yes,
got the blade shape is very old. There are touchies from the 8th and ninth
yes,
centuries that have that shape, which
yes,
has got a long false edge at the back that's
yes,
half the length of the blade.
yes,
That's a really old style, even though obviously in the 19th century they were still making, they'd go to temples and they
yes,
would get a design of a sword and have it made for some rich person to
yes.
show off when he went to visit the shogun.
So this
Uh,
collection of Japanese arms and armor, he gave it as a temporary loan to this museum. So we see that here now. So this is
yeah,
this,
no, beautiful. He's got very good taste in his Japanese stuff. I'll say that.
yeah,
That's an exceptionally nice tanto.
yeah,
I'm not even talking about the beautiful decorations on the hilt and the scabbard. I'm
yes.
just looking at the blade. It's really nice blade.
Yeah, this is you can see that also as a beautiful Nihonto blade, Aikushi knife. I mean, it looks like, of course, a tanto as you mentioned. Very, very nice one. So the
Oh
one
yeah,
on
it is an
top,
yeah. Sorry, it is an Aikushi. I should have
yes, no
recognized
problem,
the absence of the
no
cross
problem.
strip.
The one on top
Yeah,
is 102 5 centimeters, just to have the dimensions. The one below is 45 centimeters. Very beautiful.
that's big for an Aikuchi,
Yes, it is
but
big.
it's a functional size. See, it's interesting. The Japanese would make replicas of antique weapons in temples or
Yes,
collections, but they go to the trouble of, I mean, they definitely made them look really pretty, but they retained as much as they could of the
yes,
original
that's a
functional
beautiful
style. Oh yeah, that is a superb
thing. Look at the
Aikuchi.
craftsmanship beat.
Oh yeah, I mean everything in it is good. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that the decoration, the fuller on the blade, is part of a different style of thing. It's just not an ordinary fuller. The lacquer and the gilding on the scabbard and the grip, very high grade.
Beautiful Hamon Omidara style. Very, very beautiful.
Oh yeah, that would be a real nasty thing if you got stabbed by it. But looking at the Tachi on the right, look at the incredible Hamon on that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean,
You could even, if you
again,
look at it
something I've never done.
closely, the picture
Sorry.
doesn't show it. The picture doesn't show it, but it has Utsuri in it. So you can see really this
Oh,
blue
so a little,
line. Yeah.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice. Very nice ones.
It is very hard to accurately photograph
Yes.
patterns in steel, and
Yes.
it's 100 times harder in a museum. Oh, naginata.
Yeah, look at this one, Bede. Oh God.
Again, I haven't seen a lot of naginata in person. I've seen a few. They all seem to be exceptionally strong blades.
Yes.
Well, obviously, if you've got a long handle and you swing it really fast, the blade has to be really strong to survive.
Bede,
But
look at the total lengths of it. 184.9.
so it would probably the average Japanese would have been about at the time it was made would have been roughly male would have been 160. So this would have been that much taller than the person holding it. But just think of the enormous speed you can get up with one of these. I mean, in the latter period of the Edo shogunate, naginata were primarily used as training for women because they thought it made people more graceful. But of course, it also meant that a woman with a naginata could take down a samurai with a sword without a lot of trouble if she was good.
Of course.
Because ultimately, it's rock, paper, scissors, and the rock, I think, might be the naginata.
Yes, it's really
But they're
beautiful.
so well made. I mean,
And look at these.
oh, beautiful prints, multicolored woodblock
Yes.
prints.
He has also these woodlock prints, a collection of them. I just put some of them here. Beautiful collection of them.
What amazes me is, and part of it's by accident, how modern these look in terms of their pose and their impact. But of course, part of that is because modern art in Europe was influenced by Japanese prints in the 19th
That's
century.
interesting. Yeah.
So it's not that strange,
Yeah, you're right.
but it is interesting. I really do like them. Oh, a
Again,
whole different one.
yes,
So another Tachi, complete with the little chain hangers on the
yes,
scabbard.
yes,
It's got a more, well, I mean, it's a Tachi blade, but it's got more features of a later katana.
yeah,
The early Tachis had more spear point tips, whereas this has a more katana tip. Um, Weirdly enough, now that's 19th century. I was lucky enough to get to examine I think it was early 1600s Tachi in its original mounts, which the handle was metal
yeah,
and it had copper alloy rivets instead of the bamboo thing through the tang and that.
yeah,
And the scabbard was also matching, how the Japanese are so good at coloring iron to
yeah.
produce all different effects. And the thing about Tachis that I noticed when I picked it up compared to katanas was how easy it was to hold in one hand.
Yeah.
They're so well balanced.
Yes.
And I mean, they have a long handle, but it's not to use them two-handed, it's to get the balance right.
Yes.
And it was later on that they worked out if you use them two-handed and made the blade heavier,
Yes.
you could do a lot more damage.
And the
But they,
mounting, the mount is Tachi mount.
yeah,
Look at this, beautiful.
yeah. I must admit, when I first saw a real Tachi that was not highly decorative, that was meant for fighting, I was truly impressed.
The picture, I mean, it's not
Wow,
good,
there's
but gives you some.
a lot going on in that steel, isn't there?
Yes, very beautiful. Now we
Very
come
hard to
to
photograph.
wakizashis.
Wakizashis and a sword breaker, as they sometimes call them,
Yes,
jitte type weapon.
Hachiwara. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh yeah, yeah. The fittings are so elegant, and the blades, like the shorter one has a longer, smoother developed point.
Yeah.
The longer one has a more katana point. There
Yes.
are Japanese words for all these shapes, but
Yes.
I don't want to insult Japanese people by mispronouncing them.
That one.
And the one at the bottom is carried so you can disarm a samurai or break. They sometimes call them helmet breakers, which is
Yes.
what Hachiwara means, isn't it?
Yes. That's right.
Hachi is helmet,
Yeah.
and I think look, anyone can prove me wrong. I'm easy to prove wrong, but you struck hard on somebody's helmet, and it gave them a concussion, whether the helmet was damaged or not.
Look at
I
the
do think
hamon.
that That is so well done.
Look at the Jihada. Look at the Hamon.
Mhm.
Look at the Mune. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this has got everything going for it. I might have to dig out my book on Japanese swords and reread it after this.
Really exceptional. Really nice. Japanese
Mm.
know how to make blades, so unbelievable.
Oh yeah, they know how to decorate arrowheads as well.
Wait, what was the purpose of such arrowheads?
When you went into battle, the thing about the Japanese battle quiver that you wore with your armor, the open one, the ibira, is that the base that the arrowhead sat in was a series of parallel leather straps, and the arrowheads would sit in them. So at least three-quarters of the arrowhead was visible. So this was, you would have two arrowheads that are highly decorative like this out of all your arrows, and they could be seen by your friends. They couldn't be seen by your enemies because they were too far away. And it showed your good taste and your knowledge. But the thing is, those two arrows were the ones that if a general or a high ranking person was shot, if they were shot by one of these, you would get recognition as such and such shot such and such. But if they were shot with an ordinary arrowhead, it was such and such was hit by a stray arrow. Because if you were a good enough archer to shoot a general, then you would pick the correct arrow of the right rank to shoot that general. Eventually, they became almost purely decorative, and they were given as gifts to temples and things like that. But the two on the left would be quite capable of killing someone. The one on the extreme right, probably too pretty to shoot at somebody. But
And they're all
it's
made
like,
of Nihonto, right?
oh yeah, I mean,
Tamahagone, I mean.
a
Nihonto.
late friend of mine decided to, because he's done Japanese sword polishing, decided to polish some arrowheads and discovered they had everything that a sword had
Yeah,
in them.
everything.
And the Japanese master polishers said, "Yeah, they've got everything the sword's got. There's so much work, and it's almost the same amount of work to do a sword. So why not just concentrate on swords?" That's a nice helmet.
Yeah, very nice Kabuto helmet. Exactly, very nice one.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
And another, that's a tanto because it's got a
Yes,
little
that's a tanto.
suba, and the katana.
Yeah,
Very high grade katana too.
yeah, very nice, very nice.
Mm.
Look at
Yeah, I love a good helmet. What people looking at this don't realize is you see the helmets with all the rivets in rows down them. This has got all those rivets too, except they've been filed flat and then covered in lacquer because the structure is the same as the helmet with all the bumpy bits going up the head. And the I'm trying to remember that. I think the strip around the base of it is called koshimaki. You've got the brim, the two upturned parts of the neck guard are called fukigaeshi. Originally, they were made of scales, but then they turned them into plates. The neck guard is called shikoro. The little piece on the top of the helmet is called the tehen. And in really old helmets, they believe there was a hole through. And in the old days, we see in the samurai movies, their hair is brought back and then forward. But in the old days, it went up into a spike. And that was supposedly to put the spike so your hair would stick out the top of the helmet. I am not sure if people really did that. It was also, if you were killed, your spirit would ascend to heaven through the hole.
yes,
But I'm not sure it's really done that way. See, these are nice,
really,
beautiful workmanship on the scabbards.
yes.
This is all lacquer work and gilding and shakudo and
This
things
one,
like that.
okay, the sword stand, katana nake is also old, right? This one.
Yeah, it's got that look of what
It's a 19th
the older
century.
style, yeah, older
It's a
style
19th
lacquer work and
century.
everything.
Yes. And katana, wakizashi, very beautiful ones.
Yeah, great work.
The katana is 16th century, the blade, I mean, right? So it's very nice. Okay, so let me just move on. Okay, look at this one, Pete.
Ah,
I
yeah.
love them. This would
They've
be,
got a style to them, don't they?
yeah, very nice ones.
I remember when I was a teenager reading a book about Kuniyoshi, the famous printmaker who did a lot of warrior
Yes,
prints. And it was just so stunning, the amount of work that goes into those prints.
yes,
These are what an okuchi at the bottom and tanto at the top.
yes, very nice.
The tanto looks particularly solid,
Very.
maybe for winkling people out of their armor. The
Yeah,
okuchi is more a cutting knife, like kind of cutting. Uh,
yeah, very beautiful. And the last one, which is okay, again, an old sword, katana kake, 19th century, and then a katana.
yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. I was once. Well, I know someone who I hope still has a stand for a bow and a quiver, and it's black lacquered and then set with mother of pearl
Yeah,
and
yes.
gold and things like that. And they're so beautiful. That's nice.
I don't know why our colleagues here call it a tachi, but anyhow, a tachi sword, they
Oh,
call
it's
it
got a Tachi mount on the scabbard. Look at the scabbard.
scabbard. Oh, yeah, of course, I see it now. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
but
Yes, it does.
that's why they call it a Tachi.
Yes, right, it does.
So the 17th century blade,
Yes,
which is possibly not a Tachi blade,
yes.
but the mounting is a Tachi.
Mounting, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And then we have
makes life
a
very complicated.
kushi. Yes, very nice ones.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this was the thing you retained at all times. I mean, you left your katanas at the door, but your wakizashi or your akuchi, and akuchi is more common with people wearing armor.
Yes. And look at this
Oh,
one, please.
this is much more. This is a antique version of. What I mean is, it's an antique style. It's.
Yes,
I completely agree with the
yes.
label, but there is a. I think in the Shoso Inn or one of the old temples, there is a sword that has this general
So the fittings are
shape.
20th century on the top, 20th
Mm.
century. Blade is
And the
19th
blade.
century. Yes.
They still could make good blades in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And you've got to admit that the Japanese have kept a lot of the technical side of their culture
Yeah.
in things like this. I mean, when you look at documentaries on people that know how to do this and are making this in the modern day, you realize how hard they had to fight to keep the tradition alive because, you know, where do you get apprentices from? Well, I want to get a job with a big company and make hundreds of thousands a year. Whereas you're sitting in a little workshop and making, you know, five of these a year and you may be just above the poverty line. You're greatly respected, but you're not making enough money to have a big
No, no.
family.
I mean, you know that, for example, let's say Bear blade in Japan, 10,000, and not a very good one, 10,000 to 15,000, a good one, but not very, 10,000, 15,000, and your then is regulated. You cannot make many. You need to make like five, six per year. Okay, let's say six and 10,000. You make 60,000 before taxes in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, one has to
Not
say, take a
counting
look at this, right?
not counting the cost of materials and your time.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's a
As you
hard
said, you
you've
go
got
to
to
a
love your job.
company. As you said, you go to a company, you study, you go to a company, you make much more than that.
Yeah.
This is it. People only look at
And
it,
to
okay, I pay 10,000, but they don't know the amount of work, which is, this is a traditional
yeah,
made Tamahagone sword, guys, right? Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you know, in countries where they're trying to revive their traditions like this, someone says, "Oh, that's not as good as an old one." Well, you know, give them a generation or two to build their skills because it's not easy to get to that level.
no, no, absolutely.
And when you look, there's two things I'd like to say about this. Look at the scabbard for the Tachi. Look at how well designed it is in terms of, you know, physical design, repetition. It's really beautifully done. And when you look at the sword blade, it's really super functional.
Yes.
It actually would work as a Tachi quite well. Maybe the blade was made specifically to be mounted as a tachi because
Look
it
at
really
this
does
piece.
have that. Yeah, that's nice. The kind of detail is brilliant. Another tachi mount.
Yes.
I haven't seen this many tachi mounts in a long time
Yes, I think
outside
Mr.
of Japan.
Feldman is very interested in touchy mounts. I know, I remember that
Yeah.
one.
Well, they're really attractive.
Yes.
Um, and it's funny because when you look at tachi mount and the angle a tachi is worn at, and you look at, say, Polish sabers in the 17th century, they were worn at almost the same angle, which is not quite horizontal, but almost horizontal. And it just made, I don't know, maybe it was easier to draw, maybe when you took the sword out, the scabbard sat at a better angle out of the way. I don't know, but people definitely liked it.
Pete, look at the
So this has got a
horimono.
chisel blade.
Look at the
Yeah,
horimono here. A
yeah,
beautiful horimono.
beautiful chiseling.
Yes. This dragon,
Mm.
chiseled dragon horimono, as they call it. Look at how beautiful it is. And look at the, oh my God, this is really nice.
When
And look
you
at the
think
blade.
of the quality of carving on Japanese blades, when they decide to put it on there, it has to be really good, otherwise they'd be laughed at.
Yes.
Oh, but it is beautiful. Oh, a saddle, kura,
Yes.
and a boomy, stirrups. See, I know
Oh,
words.
yeah. Why are they so exaggerated? These are beautiful stirrups, right?
Honestly, they are the most useless stirrups ever invented by man. The earlier Japanese stirrups, like going back 1,000 years, were much more practical than these. I mean, the concept is really interesting. You put the buckle as physically part of the stirrup and then attach it to a strap that goes through that slot in the sidebar of the saddle. But the problem is there's no lateral support for your foot.
Yeah,
So if you ever lose your foot comes out of the stirrup really fast.
yeah.
Now, if you were looking for safety stirrups, these are a really good idea in terms of you will never get dragged by your horse. But if you're looking at stirrups where you can keep your foot in the stirrup when your horse starts bucking, these are really hard to keep your foot in. But I haven't played. I mean, I've handled a few of them. They're very heavy, which in stirrups, like in Western riding, light stirrups is a good idea, but in Eastern riding, and I mean even in Turkey to the east, heavy stirrups are more appreciated because they hang in a standard position. If something goes wrong and you lose your stirrup, you know you'll be able to get your foot back into it really easily. Whereas if the stirrups are really light, you can keep trying to put your toe in them, they keep moving out of the way. Those saddles, I've got to play with a few. I haven't ever had one on a horse, but I've got to play with a few. You can see like step tradition in parts of them and other things that would be more common in Western Europe, like the long points that come off the pommel and cantle, which are used to spread the weight of the saddle a bit because there are quite thick pads under the thighs. Um, Really a kind of medieval European when you look at them. It's got this. If you look at old knight saddles, they also have long extensions on either
It's
side to
true.
keep the
They
leg in
do.
the right place. But bear in mind, the Japanese were using much shorter stirrup leathers, so their leg position is entirely different. But these are sewn together. Um, there are holes which you can just vaguely see in the sidebars where the pommel and cantle are. That cords go through those holes into matching holes and then back around and through and around and through. And the cords are about that thick, but the whole thing is sewn together. It's really amazing.
Amazing.
And they do tend to last a long time.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff worn over them and under them and everything. The swords
Yes.
are really interesting because that's quite,
Yes.
I was going to say Baroque. It's quite Baroque decoration on the sword.
Yes. Yes. Also
uh,
later 19th century, right? Both of
yeah,
them.
well, they still knew how to do good stuff in the 19th century.
Yes. Yes. Itachi and also Akushi. Then again, wood blocks. The one on the
Oh, yeah.
right side looks like one of those old masters in martial arts films who can incredibly move even when he's 100 years old, right?
I think it is a character from Kabuki.
Yes.
Um, and the wig and everything. This is part of, and it is to indicate an old man, but who's vigorous because he's got thick, strong hair. But there's another one like that that's actually a lion, but different color. Uh,
Oh.
so I would say this is from Kabuki, but I could be wrong because obviously Kabuki is based on stories, and the woodblock printers also use the same stories. Oh,